Yep. All right, let's do non-conference losers. Well, let's be quick with this. I'll go first. Team, biggest loser, the Kansas Jayhawks. Come in as the preseason number 1 team in college basketball. I had Alabama preseason number 1. That doesn't really seem like a flex because they're not even number 1 in their state anymore. But I have Kansas as my biggest loser for obvious reasons. Go back and listen to the show around the 20-minute mark if you want to hear more on that. T.O. team.
Miami. Biggest loser. Those guys have no heart. They don't want to be there. And I'm not sure if it's their fault or Jim Larinagas.
Fanta?
Wake Forest.
I was battling with that, actually. Go ahead.
Yeah, they just didn't do enough for me. I thought that this was going to be a team that could be top 20 in the country, if not, top 15 at their best. And, when I look at them early, they did beat Michigan. Nice win. They got bludgeoned by Xavier. They got crushed by a Florida State team or by a Florida team who's very good. They scored 44 points against Texas A&M. They just haven't moved the needle enough. And so for that, I was disappointed in them. The other one would be Kansas State.
Yep. Don't hate on my Wildcats, baby. We're back. We are back. We are so back, Fana. Just wait. For the player, I went with Bryce Hopkins, and the reason I went with Bryce Hopkins is because I'm not a fan of the will he here or won't he play kind of scenario that we're in right now with Bryce Hopkins. And it's make a decision, man. Like, what are you going to do? You're holding your team in limbo. We're trying to figure all this out. Like, are you injured? Shut it down. Redshirt for the season if you want to get yourself another year. If not, then let's get out there and let's play. Like, I don't think it's fair to those fans. I don't think it's fair to to his teammates. I don't think it's fair to the program. So, decide what you're going to do, Bryce. Make something happen. Pick a lane. Fanta, go ahead.
I'm going to go with Oumar Ballo.
Hell yeah, that's a good one.
He's getting paid a lot of money, and it just hasn't really met expectations. And, Indiana would be on the list, too, of disappointments because the performance out in the Bahamas was just eye-opening, to say the least. So I'll go with Ballo. You got to be better here as the calendar turns to January. You've got to be a force in the Big Ten. If not now, then when? Indiana has Rutgers tonight, and Indiana better win that game at home.
I'm going with any player that has a minor injury that's sitting out so they can get paid next year. Well, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. And for some reason, we hide in a hole and we don't call them out.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a lot of them.
It's a problem.
There's another young man who's doing the same thing down south. And there's a couple of guys doing the same thing that we might have just mentioned two names ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're just sitting out to get another payday, which I understand is fiscally responsible, but hold up your end of the deal. You were paid to play this season. It's kind of where I'm at. And here's the thing we don't talk about enough, guys. Like, there's no protection for the players who don't get paid. There's no protection for these collectives when a player just decides to up and leave. Where's that protection? Employment contracts might be the way to go, so both parties are insured.
Yes, that's the way to do it. So you get a payment like every week instead of a situation where you get a lump sum up front after you threaten to transfer at the last second. Coach, biggest loser. I went with Mike Woodson. You have a roster that, in my opinion, is top 10 to top 15 in terms of talent in the country. You're currently sitting in a spot where you are outside the top 50 on KenPom. You're outside the top 65 in the net. Your best wins are not really all that impressive. I got to go bring up the schedule. I don't remember off the top of my head, but either way, with the amount of money they spent, the best wins right now: Providence, South Carolina.
South Carolina's 10-3.
Yeah, but that's your best win. You're building everything on your non-conference resume is going to be built on a team that's going to finish in last place in the SEC. I understand that South Carolina is a good team, right? I'm not saying they're a bad team. That's their non-conference resume, is a team that looks like they're going to finish in last in the SEC. You're Indiana, man. Fair. You're supposed to be a team that can compete for a national champion. Like, you have a roster to compete for a national championship, and that's what we're talking about here. T.O., coach, biggest loser.
Jim Larinaga.
Fanta, go ahead.
really good question. I'm going to go with Red Autry. Really disappointing. I mean, they are now. Yeah, they've had injuries. JJ Starling, brutal, but they're 6-7 guys.
Mm-hmm.
This is Syracuse. 6-7. I mean, my God, that is just bad. They have got to look in the mirror, and I know they're bringing in Kai and Anthony, but him alone is not going to change at all. I think that the staff will be back next year with bringing in Kyan in the class that they've got coming in. But my Lord, you got to be better. You're not playing well enough because you're pretty soft defensively. I mean, I've watched them play twice. You know, when have you ever seen Syracuse 173rd in defensive efficiency in college basketball?
It's not good.
That's not Syracuse. It's not who they are. So Red got to bounce back from this, man.
They were under Jim. Sorry, we love Jim. They were pretty poor under Jim his last 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Well, it's carried over.
Yeah. That's for sure. Listen, this has been a fun episode, guys. It's always great to catch up with both of you. I'm glad you both had good holidays. And we will be back hopefully again next Monday. We haven't talked about what our schedules are going to end up looking like, but now that we're into conference season and through the holidays, I think it'll get a little bit more regulated. Fanta is on After Dark tonight. I believe we are going at midnight tonight, Fanta, after the Oregon-Illinois game. And T.O., if you want to catch him, will be on the Louisville at Virginia on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
I believe. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
John Paul Jones Arena, we're the only place in the country that you get standing ovations for getting a shot clock violation. That still has not changed.
That might be the last year of that happening.
Yeah, hopefully. Let's get some more up-tempo modern basketball in that building.